David, wake up.
In the real estate world, when you're bringing on people to be a part of your team, I'm looking at the person. Number one, are they a good person? Do they care about people? Are they
What's going on, guys? I'm here with Jon Sexton out of Tennessee. How you doing today, sir?
I'm wonderful, David. Thanks, man.
All right, thanks for coming on the show. I know you're a busy guy. It's hard to get you on, but thanks for coming on.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm happy to be here. That's for sure.
All right, for sure. My first question, dive right in. Why did you choose real estate as a business?
Well, that's a great question. It sort of evolved into that. Because I've been an entrepreneur for pretty much my entire adult life, and I've from being a songwriter to in a band to owning a personal training company to owning a health club, and then got into real estate. And each one kind of led into the other. So I've been in real estate since 2017, and it's been really it's been a great experience. I've A lot of it has to do with the success of it is, you know, there are being a business owner versus just somebody that's a hustler
Yeah,
it's different. So when you're entering into a field that is filled with a lot of independent contractors, if you will, um, and they kind of set their own schedule, they're sort of kind of accustomed to certain ways. But when you own a business, you kind of run it like a business, you feel like a business. And I think that and having the connections that I've had since living here since 96 and being involved in the community as a business owner and what have you, has allowed me to kind of grow quickly in this industry.
nice, nice. And I'm gonna get back to the personal training later on because
Sure.
I really think that's important as well too. But before I even get into it, as an entrepreneur, what type of mindset do you need to be successful?
Um, for me, I can answer for myself, is that I kind of wake up every day. I, I'm I look around and I see kind of what I'm working for, uh, and what the purpose is. And so for me, the purpose. I grew up as a caretaker. My mom was ill, and so taking care of people is kind of that's my sort of my love language. And so I've in every industry I've been in, there's been some sort of uh, service committed to that and to doing it well. So my purpose is just making sure that my I'm a single dad, so all my boys and I are they're well taken care of. I can manage them, manage their life, help them with that, help them grow, and just to really stay focused. I'm disciplined. I work out literally every day. I think that's important. It's more of a meditation than it is anything else. I even back when I was younger, I would listen to really hard rock music and get pumped up. Now I just go in there, I put on this chill music, and I just kind of work my way through methodically, and it's quick and it's efficient, and it's like 35 minutes and I'm out. So so to me, it's about consistency, and you also have to have systems in place, and you kind of have to know what your strengths are and where you need help and get the help around you. So I think that's an important thing, that it took me a while to understand that, because there's a book out there called Rocket Fuel. And Rocket Fuel it talks about two types of leaders. And there's a leader that is, um, they're the visionary. And that's the person that sees the vision, knows where they want to go, even kind of knows what tools they want to go there and what they need to get to go there. And then, but just doesn't implement very well. That's me. I didn't know that until later on. And then there's the integrator. The integrator is the one that can take that vision, put processes in place, implement them, get the right people involved, and make it uh, um, and make it successful. So many times in owning health clubs in particular, not knowing that about myself, I would create amazing programs, and I would something that would be fun and efficient and educational and whatever. But it just didn't really take off the way that I wanted it to, and I couldn't figure out why. Well, now I know why. I didn't have someone to really to be my integrator for those. for that vision. So that's what I learned about myself, and I think that's important for somebody to know as an entrepreneur that's trying to grow a business.
It's nice, well said. If
Thanks.
you don't, if you have no capital, what ways can you access money for buying real estate or investing in real estate?
Sure. I think it's better to use other people's money anyway, to be honest with you. So if you don't have capital, have great credit. Credit's going to be very important. I think that, and if you're not sure how to fix your credit, find someone that knows how to help you. No problem with that. And I think once you get to that credit to a certain amount, you then that's when you can start figuring out how to borrow money. And it may be not as much as you need, but it might be something to get you started. So I think that make sure you got good credit, and make sure you start developing good relationships with banks, any type of lenders, brokers, even hard money uh, lenders. People are willing to lend money because they're going to make money off of you anyway. So I think that's just, I think you start with that.
Okay. For realtors that are watching, what type of selling tips do you have?
Well, I have a team, first of all, and I mentor people. I like newbies. I like people that are new.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think the first thing you do is that you find a team that you can get mentored on. Don't try and come in as a lone wolf, because there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And people kind of come in and say, "Yeah, I can sell to my friends." Well, your friends already know people, so you've got to be figure out a way to be unique. And if you
Yeah.
join a team that has the experience, it's going to give you more credibility, right? And they make sure that that team creates value for you as you create value for them. So I think it's very important to write a big long list if you're a newer realtor and you go through your phone and you create a list on your phone, which you can do.
Yeah.
And those that, if they know your name and you know their name, they're in what's called your SOI, your sphere of influence. You have to you have to figure out a way to reach out to them, whether it be automation, whether you have a CRM or something of that nature. You're figuring out ways to get in front of them without being salesy. Your social media is a very important thing. I have a very large social media following, and I've been able to do that and utilize that to help just remind people what I do. And that's really what it's there for. Have I ever gotten a sale from Instagram? I've probably gotten a few leads from it, but I don't look at it that way. I look at that as an add-on to my value from a marketing standpoint because I'm more of a marketer that just happens to sell real estate. Is the way I look at it.
Cool, cool. I know you touch on business development. I was reading a book from Brad Jacobs, How to Think Like a Billionaire. And he really talks about, business development and having a team and the hiring process. So what's your hiring process and getting the right team around you?
So in the real estate world, when you're bringing on people to be a part of your team, I'm looking at the person. Number one, are they a good person? Do they care about people? Do they have empathy? Are there does their ego get in the way? What have they? I don't really care what your sales experience is in the past. I really don't. What's your network like? Are you friendly? Are you involved with your neighborhood events? Are you involved with what are you involved with? Right. I like to know this stuff. And what's your community like? What's your tribe like? Everything that just encompasses that person. Because the truth is that if you're in a place that have um, if you have a good person and they have a good network, you can really help them get successful. So I look for somebody that I think that has an it factor, and that it factor is going to vary depend on their personality and who their network is. Um, and once we can tap into that and get them to believe in themselves and know that they can do this, because real estate's a longer play. You can't just go come in and make money, right? You're probably going to need to hold on to one career as you start this one and move and then evolve out. I mean, I did that. So it just so I look for that person. And then, I look for like, are they team players? What does that look like? Have they, like, even interested on what kind of sports they played, if they played any, or did they play team sport? Did they play an individual sport? I actually played both. I played tennis and basketball in college. And um, So, when when you play tennis, you're on a team in college versus just going around and playing like the pros do, right? So, I look for that. What extracurricular activities have they done? Were those extracurricular activities involved with other people? So, I think there's just that. I want someone that's a total team player that's in it for the team because I am. I'm leading the team. I'm investing in the team. I'm investing in them, whether with my time, I'm definitely financially investing, and I really make sure that they're rewarded and they do very well and they become a rock star themselves, right? So, and so I will tell you in my world, typically when you have a team and the team lead usually names their team after themselves. So I did not name my team the Jon Sexton team. I named it Nashville Home. And the reason why I did that, because David, if you called up and said, "Hey, yeah, this is David from the Jon Sexton team," what are they going to think? Well, they're going to say, "Well, why isn't John calling me?" Right? And so
Yeah,
that just made you secondary just by that phone call right there. You don't have that level of respect. But if you say, "This is David from Nashville Home," that totally changes it, right? And then also something else in our world, team leads, when if you close a deal, you're on my team and you close a deal and you help someone buy a house. Well, on the MLS, it gives credit to somebody for helping them buy the house. And that
mhm,
that helps your numbers. You see people that say, "Hey, I sold, you know, $8 million this year," right?
yeah,
Well, the MLS would show that. But however, most team leads would you would sell the house and we'd share the commission on whatever our agreement is, but I
yeah,
would get the credit. And the team lead usually has the higher name, gets the name and gets all the credit for the volume, right?
yeah,
And so I don't do that because I want, what was it last year, year before, when the Texas Rangers, which you and I talked, I'm a Texas Ranger fan, when they went to when they won the World Series, uh,
yeah.
that year they had six people start on the All-Star game. That's never been done before.
Wow.
So when you watch the All-Star game and you see all these guys with the Texas Ranger hats on, you're thinking, "Oh my God, the Rangers are good." Whether or not you knew it or not, that's a good team. So to me, when you see the top 20 and a lot of our guys are on that, you're going to look at that and say, "That's a great team." And that's what I want. I want them to be recognized. I want them to be the rock star. And I want them to eventually surpass me. My goal is to get out of production. So stop buying and selling homes with clients and just kind of run the business and add more ancillary services such as mortgage, title, insurance, all that encompasses so we can be a one-stop shop.
Okay, okay. And my last question on this is after they're in the business, in the team for let's say a year, how do you continue to develop them? What kind of tools do you use to
That's
develop?
great. That's a great question because it takes, first of all, it takes a while than just learning in a couple transactions on how to be good, right?
Mhm.
I offer a lot of different value. I have a coach that I use, a business coach, and that coach now coaches my team.
Mm,
So a big value is they get all the access to all the coaching, and there's hundreds of videos they can go to and learn from as well. That the coaching program that I use, which is Eisenhower Coaching, um, and that's a coaching program that doesn't teach you how to have a good open house. They teach you how to run a really strong real estate business. And so there's that. There's also marketing wise, because I have a really strong following. If you and I have really great. I have a deal with Zillow where my listings get premium placement. I'm a part of an organization called Realm, and Realm is you have to be invited into, and they only take the top 1% of luxury agents in the world, or one half of 1% of the agents in the world. I was fortunate enough to be invited into that. And so we have all of these extra ways to get um, our listings and our and be connected, all be global. So there's a lot of value to it. And of course, I'm a part of every transaction. I also give them I have a transaction coordinator, so they don't have to do any paperwork. So there's a lot of things here, but really the main thing to me is our camaraderie. We have a great culture. we have great people. And once you leave that, you know, I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's like this. The way that I look at that is when you're playing sports and say you play high school and then you're done, right? And it's kind of you've that's been your identity like all through high school, probably junior high too, going middle school, going all the way through. You're playing sports on teams, and then you're not, and it's a weird feeling, you
Mhm.
know. So now you're not have that locker room. You don't have that camaraderie. You don't have that team, and it just not that a team is for everybody, but the people that are on our team, exceptional people, exceptional people. They're just I only want people that are going to be um, that would have. I'm definitely going to have their back, and I want someone that's always going to have mine. But more importantly, we have our clients back at all time.
Yeah, okay. I know you got a TV gig. How did you,
Mm.
get that gig?
Yeah, I do. It's called Selling Nashville. It is real TV, not reality TV. Just to be clear. There's no drama.
Right.
um, and it's all about culture, lifestyle, and real estate. And so, my episodes are I signed a six episode deal, just filmed my sixth, and then I'm gonna just got signed on for another six episodes. So I'm happy about that.
Nice.
Um, and I got basically, they saw my credentials, they saw that I have a good following, and they wanted somebody in this market. Nashville's one of the hottest real estate markets in the country. So that's kind of how I got there, and it's been fun, and it's been, it's enhanced some things in my life, which is nice. But it's also been it's very rewarding to be able to kind of share that part of your life.
Nice, nice, nice. Do you still have the personal training business, or you sold that? You
No,
sold that?
so how this worked was when I moved here in '96, I did not want to be a starving artist because I
Hmm.
pursued music. I wrote songs for film and television. I was in a band that ended up getting a very big record deal that took 5 years to get it and lost it in 3 months. So I started my own personal training business, which meant I was contracting my services out of different clubs on the west side of Nashville, and I got a waiting list like within 8 months. So I brought on, started bringing on other trainers to be a part of my team. And so that's how I grew that. My goal was to keep things sustainable at home while I was on the road pursuing music, and I was able to accomplish that. So when music came and went, this was about 2003. I had been approached, and I've been approached by them before, but it took a while. But to run their personal training department, they own three health clubs, and so I negotiated a deal where I earned equity on the front end because I was bringing in my business. So that went well. I learned a lot, and then I bought them out 5 years later on one of their locations, and that was in 2008, which was, of course, when the country was struggling, and we had uh, um, so I ended up buying at the worst time. However, and the Nashville Business Journal actually did an article on me that was I thought it was going to be so cool. Yes, the Art Business Journal, they're coming in to do an article on me. I'm a young entrepreneur. I'm the hottest new thing. Is in my head, right? They come in and they do an article on, hey, you got the biggest SBA loan in 2008. I'm like, is that really a good thing? And so it was pretty funny. But anyway, so I grew that, and I grew it into where we're at one location, which was in a strip mall sort of thing. It was about 14,000 square feet, had a good membership. Our personal training was killing it. We did a great job. I used to train NFL athletes and celebrities, and I just had a really, really great clientele. And then we moved it into I found some investors because the first club I ever got a job at was a thriving tennis club. It had 85,000 square feet. The back 6 acres were all clay courts, and it was really a great club to be a part of. Well, that was in '96. Come back around 2012, it's a dying tennis club. There was no more clay courts in the back. There were some weeds and fallen down fences. So it was a real estate play. Got investors to say, hey, look, there's back 6 acres. Let's see if we can develop that. So we bought it as a group and took 5 years to get it rezoned and ended up building 54 townhouses there. Um, and that's when I got my real estate license. And so and I continued to run the health club, and I co-founded it with, and he's still there, but I got out of operations at the end of 23 to just be full-time into real estate. And so I was just juggling both careers at the same time, and
Mm.
being a dad of three, and so just there was a lot. So I had to make a choice, and real estate's been fantastic for me, and so that's why I'm here now.
Okay, okay. You got to really walk us through that because I'm very interested. So, how did you get your first contract as a personal trainer starting up?
Okay, how did I get my first contract? How did I get my first client? What do you mean?
Yeah, for because you said you partnered with gyms. So, how were you able to do that?
Okay, so when I first started off as a personal trainer, I contracted out of different clubs, meaning that um, you would basically pay per session, is what it would be. I didn't want to be an employee of them. I wanted to be able to have freedom to go wherever I wanted. Okay, so what I did was I worked out a deal where I had to pay X amount per session. And because I had then when I started developing a team, I went back to those owners and said, "Hey, I've got a team. I'm bringing more clients here. I want a better deal." So I was able to work that out. And so that's how that worked.
Okay, okay, okay.
Hmm.
So you're almost like an independent contractor with the
That's
gym.
exactly that's 100% what you are. Hmm. Yep. So you're basically paying them a rent.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Wow, wow. And what made them say yes to you? Because they easily could have just stick with
That
their guys in their gym. What made
well,
them say
they
yes to
that
you?
was at that time that was their model. They didn't want to employ. It was too expensive because there's employment tax that comes with it. So if they just contract and just got a flat fee, they were happy with that. So and that was already going on. And so when I figured that out, that's I would go to those type of clubs and contract my services there.
Yeah, okay. And you would bring your own clients. Would they help you with clients or not? You bring
Not
all.
really, not really. Now, sometimes what I would do is I would also see to grow my business. I didn't just like show up and people just started coming to me. I had to get like fun fact, I taught the very first spin class in the state of Tennessee in 1997. It was not here when I moved here. I talked the owner into buying spin bikes. I told him, dude, you can charge $6 to $10 a class on per bike. He did it, and I taught the first class, and I would use that to get in front of people. And then if whoever did great, I would give them for a free session. Now, I would also do my due diligence too. If I knew someone could afford training, I would probably go towards that. But that was just me being strategic. I would walk the floor and make sure, and there were times too, I would actually work as my clientele was developing, I would work as an employee at the club, like at the front desk or or just walking around the weight room giving a new member a weight room orientation. And from there, that was a chance for me to sell myself into getting them as a client. And I was really, really good at that. So I think I had an 80% closing rate. It
Wow,
was crazy. Yeah.
smart man.
Mhm.
Wow, wow, that's pretty good. Okay, okay.
I got
All
tired of
right.
being broke, man. Yep.
Wow, wow. Okay, nice, nice.
Hmm.
Okay. I talked to a lot of business owners, the last couple of years, and one thing that keep on coming up is their health. And if you don't take care of health, it can affect you and it can affect the business. So how important health is to you?
Extremely, extremely. I mean, clearly that's what I did. I taught people it for a long time. I even created my own software where I could figure out where your metabolism is based on your lifestyle, and then develop a whole program around that. How much cardio you do, how much food, what your caloric expenditure was. So how many calories you burnt on an average day. And so we would line that up. I mean, we did all that. I was also a certified sports nutritionist. So that's always been a big part of my life. I've never done a drug in my life. I've never done any weed. I've never done anything like that. I've never smoked a cigarette. I've had, I rarely ever drink. Um, and so, that's always just kind of been my lifestyle. And, I'm not obsessed about it. I don't, but I'm very mindful and intentional on on uh, on what goes in my body. And then I'm also really big on Like I get blood tests done. I make sure that all my levels are right. And so all that's a very important. I'll be 54 this year, and I want to make sure that it's a very monumental age for me because my mom died at 54. So, and I saw her she died when I was 20. She got diagnosed with emphysema, a lung disease, when I was 8. So 12-year death is slow death is what it was. And I had more responsibility than most kids. So I saw somebody very unhealthy based on life choices, right?
Yeah,
Because she was a
yeah.
smoker. She was a smoker. And so, and ironically, her two brothers and her dad all died of the same thing. And they were all smokers. So, that was and so you can see watching that probably why health is more, I take it very serious because she, her quality of life was really not great. And I want great quality. I don't know how, I can't determine how long I'm gonna live, but I just want to be as healthy as I can until then.
Cool, 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 perfect. And my next question is, what are your negotiation tactics at the table when you're, trying to negotiate a deal?
I think it's important to be fair, both sides. We're really good with making sure, today's interest rates are higher. They're not ridiculous, but they're higher. But our clients rarely ever pay today's interest rates because if we have a buyer, we like the seller to try and contribute to help for what's a rate buy down. So we can buy down your rate. So if you're let's say today's rate's at 6.5, and there's different kinds of rate buy downs, but we really do a lot of 2-1 buy downs or 3-2-1 buy downs. And what that means is we'll just use a 2-1 buy down. So if today's rate is 6.5, then uh, the 2-1 buy down means that first year you get 2 points off. So your first year of interest rate is 4.5. Then your second year, this is where the one comes in. Those are the 2-1 buy down. The second year you're at 5.5. So you got 2 points off, 1 point off, and the third year you're back to your original 6.5. Gives you a couple years to get a much much lower payment, and then where you're going to be at the end. And if the rates change in that time, you can always refinance. So we get to sell. What we do, there's a cost to that. So let's just say there's a house for 500 grand, and the interest rates is what it is today. Well, again, just for conversation, we're going to say 6.5. Well, I called the lender, said, how much for a 2-1 buy down? He says to me, oh, it's about $12,000. Okay, so we go to the seller, and instead of saying, because about every $10,000 you borrow, according to today's rates, is roughly about $75. So if we offer $20,000 off the price, we offer 480,000, then that's going to save you 150 bucks a month. Not bad. However, if I can say, hey, let's give them full price, and if it makes sense, if the home's worth it, and have them give us $20,000 to buy your rate down, and you can save like 400 bucks a month for the first year and 250 bucks for the second year, makes a little more sense. So, um, so that, and at the end of the day, it's a great position for our buyer. It's the seller, it's the same. They walk away with the same amount, whether we offered them 480 or 500 minus the 20. So it's a really fair way of approaching this, right? And so you want to make sure that both sides feel good, right? And so I'm not one that's just gonna um I'm always in it for the best of my client, but I want to be strategic because I want them to get the house that they want. And so the seller has the cards at that time, and they want to make sure. And it is more of a buyer's market, of course, but there's a lot of factors that come in with it on where we start that price, because if it's on the market for 45, 60 days, we got some room. If it's brand new, we have no room, right? So if it's only been on the market for a few days. So it really depends on the situation, the home, and all that. But we do really try and make it fair, and especially that our client, whether it be the seller or the buyer, is extremely happy.
Okay. All right, cool, cool, cool. My next question, I'm almost done. My next question is it good to master one thing or diversify? Because you juggled two businesses for a while. Because
Yeah.
some people say master one thing, till you master it, till it's good, then move on to the next thing? Or when's a good time to move on, or is it good to just do
I
both at the
think
same
you'll
time?
know. That's a great question, man, and you're probably going to get a bunch of different answers for that. I will answer them based on my experience. Is that I think if you label yourself as something, like if I would have labeled myself, I'll go to my music. If I would have labeled myself a drummer, I'm a very good drummer. Um,
Me too.
and I took lessons from Sinatra's drummer. I mean, I was very, I mean, I did the best that I could possibly get out of that. I could probably be better, but anyway, but I got really good and I was really good in the band and whatever. But if I would have said, I'm just a drummer, I would never play piano, which I do. I would never play guitar, which I do. I would never have written songs, which I have. And I would never have gotten paid to be on movies and television for my songs. So you got to know when to pivot. You got to know when to evolve. So I think you definitely start down an avenue that takes you to um that you're starting, and then when it feels like you need to pivot a little bit and add, then you do. And that's what I did with my health club. Another thing. So, I was a personal trainer and I was really good at it. I was one of the best in town. I was very seeked out. I mean, I was flown to the Pro Bowl and we went to the Titans went to the Super Bowl and I got to go to that trip for free. I mean, I was training a bunch of the guys, really, really good at it. And then the opportunity came to get into health club ownership, which changes, right? I'm not just training and own the health club. You have a lot more to do. So I evolved, and then I got, now I'm a gym owner, right? Then this other opportunity came about where it was a health club and real estate, and then next thing you know, we're developing 54 townhouses. And see, so you start with one, and then as opportunities arise, you don't miss them because you're learning skills along the way that are going to enhance whatever's next and make it that much easier for you.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I gotta ask because celebrities and you working with NFL guys, a lot of people come to them for many different things. So what made them trust you to work them out?
Um, well, it started with one, and it started with Lorenzo Neal. He was, fullback, and he at some point there's no fullbacks in the Hall of Fame, but he should be. But he had not at that point made a Pro Bowl, but he's been in the league for a long time. And what I did not do, I didn't do what their strength coaches were doing. Now people call it functional fitness, but back then it wasn't called anything. I was working on balance, proprioception, so your mind muscle connection. I was doing some unique things that just weren't, and I was really good with agility drills and stuff like that. So if I took you in the weight room, we were doing some funky stuff, like balanced work. Like,
Mhm.
you see people that are on their knees bouncing on the ball, and you see people doing that now. Like LeBron does it all the time. No one was really doing that at the time. I'm not saying I made it up, but I made it up in my own mind. No, I never saw it anywhere. I just was really, as an athlete, former athlete, I understood, especially being undersized. I'm 5'10", trying to play basketball. I knew the importance of the advantages of being able to use your body weight and turn, just kind of use it in that sort of way. So I understood the importance of it and to keep you healthy. And so when you've had injuries along the way and you keep training the same way you're going to train, you create your center of gravity sort of changes. Like it's usually right behind your belly button. But if you start your hamstrings off, and then now your center of gravity gets just shifted to the left a little bit, and so you're used to playing that, and then your balance on the field is off. So we reconnected him, and then he made the Pro Bowl. Not
Mhm.
short after that, and he made multiple Pro Bowls after that. And
Wow.
because of his word, other people started coming. Blaine Bishop, one of the top defensive backs at the time. I had a bunch of the defensive backs coming to me, and defensive players, and some offensive linemen. And anyway, so that's how I got their trust. And they saw results in a different way, and they saw that I was doing things a little bit different. So, and then in my health club, we ended up having NFL combine training. So we had
Wow.
bringing athletes all over the world and all over the world, all over the country, and working with them then. Now I had strength coaches that were working that did that. I did recruiting. I did not recruiting for we helped. I ran the business of it. I did. I had other people that were much better at that than I was ever. Right. So, but we developed a really great reputation. And so, and it's all because of the people. I just happen to have the great people around me to do it.
Nice, nice. My last question is, what is the best advice you would give an entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur? How about that?
Yep. Um, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's number one. Um, you're gonna fail, and it's a lesson. Just don't make the same mistake twice. That's coming from a guy that got divorced twice, so maybe I don't have that much credibility anymore. But yeah, so don't make the same mistake twice. You're gonna make mistakes. That's just gonna happen. Learn from it, evolve from it, and just believe in yourself. You're gonna be the only one that does, even if your parents don't, even if your siblings don't, even if your best friend doesn't. Doesn't matter what they think. You just keep driving, keep realistic, keep learning, get around others that are successful on who you want to be like, right? It's all about moving forward. Don't look back. People are going to want to watch you fail and use that as motivation.
You got great advice. Thank you so
Thanks, man.
much
You bet,
for
David.
coming on, and thank you guys for tuning in. All right, see you next time. Peace.